great. We're going to call the meeting to order and get started. If you don't mind, everyone rise. We're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance. And Miguel, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance today. Great. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I always get nervous when I'm going to get a part of the question.
Me too.
The most embarrassing thing. I've been saying it since I was.
Got a lot going on.
I know, but still, you only do it like once, okay. All right, great. So the next order of business we have is going to be the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. The meeting minutes were previously circulated to all the board members, so I believe you all have had an opportunity to review them. So at this point, is there a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the March 24th, 2026 meeting?
Move it.
Moved by Norm, seconded by Rhett. All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? No abstentions? All right, great, the motion passes. Moving along, we have public comments. Today, I believe we have two individuals who have signed up for public comments. The first is Ms. Virginia Meyer, and then I believe a Mr. Christopher Utman. First on the list is Ms. Virginia Meyer. Are you here? Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Great. Would you like to join us at the podium or?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, my name is Virginia Mayer. I am from Fairport, New York. I'm a resident of the county. And first of all, happy almost Earth Day. I'm actually here to talk a little bit about my concerns about climate change and the role that COMID can play in maybe helping to mitigate those concerns. What I'm asking is for the board to consider pausing granting pilot exemptions under the new housing program until the policy aligns with our county priorities expressed in the Climate Action Plan, the Active Transportation Plan, and the upcoming Comprehensive Plan. So I don't think I have to explain the seriousness of the threat we face in terms of climate change. I hope I don't. And Monroe County has officially recognized this threat in their Climate Adaptation and Resiliency Plan. They have a process right now going on for dealing with increases in extreme heat, flooding, severe storms, severe winter storms, and disease outbreaks. So the county is starting to plan for the kinds of investments that we're going to have to make to deal with climate change. On that same webpage, they say without taking action, Monroe County will experience 11-degree increase in annual high temperature, 4 times more heat wave events, and 100% increase in 1-inch precipitation events by the end of the century. So in other words, the county is planning for our children to face these kinds of threats. We're thrilled that Monroe County passed a climate action plan a couple of years ago, and in that plan were dozens of strategies, several of which mentioned COMID as an actor that can participate in this mitigation. The primary sources in that same report, in that same climate action plan, they talked about where the emissions come from in Monroe County. More than 2/3 come from buildings and transportation. COMID's decisions have strong influence on the building that happens in this county and where it happens, which influences the transportation. So we can encourage or mitigate sprawl by policies at this board. We can expand or restrict natural gas infrastructure by policies at this board. So we think that since you provide significant property tax exemptions for housing, I compared the most generous program in the UTEP, which is the Enhanced Jobs Plus, which over 10 years relieves new property taxes. 61.5% of property taxes are mitigated by that program. With the Enhanced Housing Plus, over 10 years, it's 75%. So it's more generous than your most generous program. And I think that speaks to really doing something to mitigate it with your policy to mitigate those concerns. The kinds of things that you can do are require buildings to be all electric, so not allow buildings who are receiving these incentives to have gas infrastructure, requiring them to have a renewable energy plan, requiring them to be ready for the transition to all EVs, which is going to happen in the next 10 years. So are they ready for that? Are they going to make it easier for their residents to transition to EVs? Thinking about installing ground source heat pumps as a way to make the electric drain of heating with electric even less. So all of these things I think are within COMID's power in terms of when you provide these kinds of incentives, requiring the buildings to conform to these plans that are already in the climate action plan. So that's why I'm asking you to consider pausing, providing these kinds of generous incentives until this policy also includes consideration of the climate. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a Mr. Christopher Udman.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you today. Like Ginny, I'm part of a 40 by 30 group comprised of several groups in different towns in Monroe County. Color your community green. We're under the Climate Solutions Accelerator umbrella. And I want to talk a little bit about one of the key strategies in the climate action plan that the county's passed, which is to reduce vehicle miles traveled in Monroe County. And this really helps by, this is something, you know, as Ginny said, that COMID really has a strong lever to do something about. You know, your incentives for development can really change people's choices. You know, instead of always having to get in the car, people can walk or take a bus or actually have something in their community that they can get to without stepping into their car. And in the climate action plan that the county passed, the focus area for building and housing includes 2 specific actions that call out COMIDA and your role. One is to encourage redevelopment of areas targeted for infill that are within public transit areas or walkable neighborhoods. And 2, to implement a scoring policy to encourage high-density development and infill. And there are actions also in the climate plan about promoting land use regulations that support multifamily and mixed-use development. And this is an area we really see that COMIDA can work with all the towns throughout Monroe County to make sure that everybody's on the same page and we can get more walkable communities. And walkable communities are really vital because even EV cars, which Ginny mentioned, you know, have downside. They're charged through what is still now a fossil fueled grid, and so, you know, there's carbon emissions from that, but they also create particulate pollution from tire and brake wear, which increases asthma rates, which is an issue in our area. And, you know, just one personal example of the way the current way housing is set up in our county. Last year I decided to get to the airport by taking the bus. So I live on the east side, and my neighborhood is strictly single-family zone, so it was a half-hour walk to the nearest bus stop, then 2 buses to the airport, so it was 2 hours. So that's not a pattern of development that supports, you know, using something other than a car to get somewhere. And so I really think, you know, you all have a lot of power in changing the way people get around here. And that, of course, can help us meet our climate mitigation goals. But it also really improves quality of life, you know, because it lets people have alternatives. You know, I think of it this way: when you go on vacation, you don't go somewhere where you can drive a lot. You go somewhere where you can walk around, see a local market, stop in at a cafe, you know, that kind of thing. We really, in addition to just making it a better environment, it's just a better place to live if you've got a walkable community. So we ask you to work with county organizations, municipalities, and groups like ours to target neighborhoods for dense infill and mixed-use development so that they're walkable, and to implement, scoring criteria in the projects you approve that include that kind of incentives. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arman. Okay.
I just want to point out, Brighton Town Supervisor Bill Maley is with us. Supervisor Maley, I know you spoke at a public hearing yesterday. Do you wish to address the board today about one of our projects?
Thank you, and I apologize for not getting here early enough to sign in. Yes, I'm Bill Maley, M-O-E-H-L-E, Brighton Town Supervisor. I'm here to, as I did yesterday, the AMD project. I'm excited that a corporation of the stature of AMD is having the opportunity to come into one of our premier office parks in the town of Brighton, the Linden Oaks Office Park. I've spoken with the landlord. I am confident that we will work out. He has given me a little bit further description of the nature of the work that they will be doing and how it fits into our existing zoning description for that area. That area is zoned for office park use. And so I look forward to the opportunity to work with the applicant and COMID to see that project, hoping for approval today, and then working with them to make sure that the project will comply with our zoning ordinance. We need to flesh some of that out, and I know council has spoken with our attorney to the town, but I did want to express the conceptual support, but make sure that the agency is aware that there are some zoning issues to be resolved before we're good to go. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor
For giving me the opportunity.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay. Thank you for your comments. We appreciate them. Thank you. Now we'll move on. Next on the agenda, we have Kevin Loki. Kevin, if you'll join us, please, and provide us with the local monitoring report, and then after that, the local exemption report, please.
Sure thing. Good afternoon. I've got our March 2026 monthly report covering our visits between the 1st and the 31st of March. During this period, we made 51 monthly site visits. We had 3 follow-up visits during this period. Checked residency with 614 workers, had 3 issues of non-compliance, and 2 new COMID assignments delivered to Indus Hospitality Group, Inc., as well as Ren Square, LLC. Any questions on that report? All right, so I'll move into our approved waivers for the month of March. So the first one was Del Monte Development LLC project for Rochester Davis Fetch Applied Coatings. It was submitted under the lack of local labor / specialty category. So Applied Coatings, which is located in Rochester, is performing the vapor barrier installation on the Del Monte Development project at 460 East Henrietta Road in Rochester. While they are a local company, their Applied Coatings division does not have local workers in the Rochester area. RDF is part of the Local 9 Plasterers Union, and they provided a letter confirming they don't have local workers available. The contract is relatively small, and only 4 workers will be utilized sporadically over a 3-month period. The product being installed on site, which is a Sopra Seal self-adhered sheet air barrier system, requires specialized training by the Air Barrier Association of America. The 4 RDF employees have that specialized training and are certified to install that product on site. Any questions on that waiver? And the second one I have is for Fairlife LLC. This is for Rochester Rigging, part of Local 33, submitted under the lack of local labor category. So Rochester Rigging is asking for an exemption for 2 total iron workers on the Fairlife project. Local 33 has provided a letter for the workers stating their experience and skill level as necessary for the project. Local 33 Iron Workers Hall is currently empty, and they're being forced to pull workers from other New York State jurisdictions. Questions there?
Great job as always. Thank you so much.
You have a great day. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Kevin.
Okay. moving on, next on the agenda, we have the finance report. Greg, turn over to you.
You got it. Good afternoon. Results through March, pretty positive through the first quarter. In terms of our cash, you can see our cash is up about 1.2 million from year end, mainly due to liquidating some treasures we need for our working capital needs, mainly our workforce development funding that's gonna start hitting here in the short term. The grant funding is related to our Fast New York grant. We have, again, just FYI, that's our pass-through. We have reimbursed $3.2 million so far this year. You will see a related corresponding liability that offsets that cash. You can see where our short-term investments are down due to liquidating some of that for working capital needs. I am going to have our representative from High Probability Advisor to give a brief summary on that in a minute here. All of our other assets and liabilities are within budget expectations. Year-to-date revenue, as you can see, our fee revenue had a really strong month for March. Had some a good project and 4 or 5 others, which is a good start. You know, for our first quarter, you can see where it has been historically and where it was last quarter. So we're making progress on that. And then again, overall, I would say our expenses are generally in line, with the exception of our program and community development, which is, again, more than budget, but again, it's hard to predict on. Most of those are 90% of those funds are workforce development funds, and when those expenses come in, we try to get those paid right away. So predicting the timing of those is hard. They're all budgeted for, just where they hit on our P&L is kind of hard to anticipate. But overall, really good start to the year in terms of the fee income, and you know, more to come on that.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions on that?
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can Mike talk about?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Mike Cicero, Director of Research from HPA, work with Steve Carl, says hello to everyone. Just, I guess, a quick overview. We'll keep this very brief. You know, unless you've been under a rock, there's been a lot of volatility in the markets over the last 2 months. The protection has been granted to the entire Treasury portfolio that you have. It's a very good place to be over the last 2 months. Short-term rates have bumped up just a bit, you know, 20 basis points or so over the last 2 months. Inflation has come in a little bit higher, again, over that period of time. You know, so all eyes right now are on the resolution of the conflict in Iran. You know, certainly any short-term impact on inflation from high oil prices, and you know, I think the incoming chair of the Fed also has a lot of attention. You know, she tends to be a little bit more dovish with rates potentially going down. But the portfolio as of the end of the quarter was at $16.07 million. We generated income over the last 12 months of $750,000. The portfolio today is made up of 8 treasury bonds, laddered out 2 years, and is yielding about 4% at this point in time. Year-to-date distributions, as Greg mentioned, you know, around $1.5 million, and all other maturities have been reinvested, and income has been reinvested in the portfolio. The next maturity is July, and that will mature at $1.7 million. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to address it.
Thanks a lot, Mike. And the distributions are just to cover operating shortfalls?
Yeah.
Working capital?
Yeah.
And it's 1.7 million? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
1.5.
1.5,
yeah.
Distribution.
Okay. Well, certainly happy in a position to be able to do that, but again, don't want to sound like beating a dead horse here, but you know, at some point we need to really get a little bit more strategic about you know, how we want to allocate the use of the substantial resources that we have. You know, if you take a look year over year, you know, based on where we were last year, I think the negative operating shortfall is, you know, roughly $500,000 worse than where it was last year. It's great that we have this treasury laddering strategy, but again, that's, how we correlate it to where interest rates are. And if you believe that interest rates are, going to come down, in the near and long term, then the revenue that's associated with that laddering strategy is also going to go down. So we're in a position where not only is revenue from project-based income going down, but also from our investment strategy is going down. It just, exacerbates, the cash flow shortfall position that we're in. So, I think it's prudent that we go through this planning strategy to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible. Okay, but certainly thank you for all the work that you've done, and we really appreciate it. Okay. Moving on, now we have the project applications. Okay, and I believe we have 5 projects for consideration this month. Okay, the first project that we have is Advanced Micro Devices. I don't know, would you please read the project summary?
Thank you. Advanced Micro Devices, a semiconductor company that provides high performance and adaptive computing solutions across multiple industries, is proposing to relocate and renovate office space within the Linden Oaks Office Park in the town of Brighton. The project includes constructing a chip lab, an employee break area, and modern office space, enabling Advanced Micro Devices to expand its workforce and introduce new capabilities. Advanced Micro Devices plans to add 20 new FTEs in addition to their existing 50 FTEs. This is a $1.8 million project seeking a sales tax exemption only, and the cost-to-benefit ratio is 374 to 1.
Perfect, thank you. I believe we have a representative from Advanced Micro joining us on Zoom. We have Mr. Jeff, is it Lilly? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. Director of IC Design. Please, welcome and happy to hear any comments you may have.
Oh, yeah, thanks for inviting me. I think I'm here just to answer any questions, but yeah, we've been in Rochester, New York for over 4 years now, and growing the design center to, like you said, to about 50 people. And we're expanding to approximately a 75, 80 person size office, also in Linden Oaks.
Okay, great.
May I ask,
Yes, sure, go ahead, Brian.
what exactly occurs in a chip lab? Is this prototype, or is this manufacturing, or just design?
Yeah, so we're mostly a design shop, and then all the manufacturing is done in different locations around the world. Our lab is for validation purposes, so we get packaged parts into the lab or overall systems, and then we have a number of different test equipment that we use to validate the hardware and software.
What do you find attractive about Rochester versus other places you could put these 20 jobs?
It's interesting. Well, I grew up here, so I guess I have a natural bias. In town, we actually have a really talented engineering discipline, whether it's firmware, analog IC design, digital design, RIT, U of R, other schools in the area really have a great pool of talent. We now sponsor labs at RIT and hopefully U of R next year, where we're fortunate we're getting some of the best students to come join us.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? No, okay. I believe there was a public hearing. Robin, were there any comments?
There were,
Okay.
by the supervisor, and we shared the live stream link with the board, and
Sure.
I think stated them today, his comments.
Perfect. All positive. Good. All right, great. So if there are no more questions and no public comments, additional public comments, just have a couple questions that I need to ask. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Sorry, you broke up a little for me?
No, that's okay. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
No, we do not.
Okay. And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes.
Okay, great. The secret process is complete, and so at this time, I will entertain a motion and a second for inducement and final resolution approving the sales tax exemption.
So moved.
Moved by Brian, seconded by Lisa. I'll call the vote. Norm?
Yes.
Okay. Brian?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Brett?
Yay.
Ray is excused. Miguel?
Yes.
That's a yes for me. The motion carries. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you for all your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, have a good day.
Okay, great. The next project that we have for consideration is it Acre Club? AKER?
I think Acre
Acre
Club
Club?
LLC. Yes, Acre's the correct pronunciation. Okay.
Acre, okay.
Thank you.
I haven't 100% settled on that. I was gonna go ask like 100 Rochesterians to say it, and then we're just gonna settle on what they pick.
Doing some market research here today.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So Acre Club LLC. Anna, would you please read the project summary for us, please?
Certainly.
Great.
Acre Club LLC proposes to lease and renovate the former DGX space at 255 East Main Street in Sibley Square in the city of Rochester for its first small format grocery store. The project will reactivate an existing grocery-ready space with tenant improvements and installation of used refrigeration units. The store is designed to provide reliable access to everyday food and household essentials within walking distance for downtown residents, workers, students, and transit riders. This new grocery store format plans to create 3.5 new FTEs. The project is considered retail under Section 862 of General Municipal Law. However, the project qualifies for benefits under the highly distressed area exception because the project is located contiguous to a distressed census tract. This finding by the agency will require confirming approval from the county executive. The applicant is seeking approval of sales tax exemptions only through the small business sales tax exemption program that COMID offers for the $499,785 project. The benefit to incentive ratio is 9 to 1.
All right, great. Thanks, Anna. We have the owner and director, Mr. Zach Harper here. Zach, if you don't mind providing us with some comments on the project, and then afterwards, if board members have any questions, we'll pose those as well.
Yeah. The project, we're gonna be just down the block over at the Sibley Square building where there's already been extensive renovations, and we're kind of hoping to slide in there and be one more successful story there. I guess the personal story on this one is twofold. So one, I grew up here in Rochester, and then moved away when I was after high school. I've been gone for 15 years. Most recently, I actually spent the past 5 years living in Europe, which is kind of pillar one of where I got the inspiration for this. For 5 years, my life was just walking downstairs, going to the small little grocery store, one aisle up, one aisle down. And that was just kind of part of my everyday existence. Then I moved back here to be closer to family, but then I had a little too much family and got a furnished apartment here in the city. And I had this experience where I drove out to Wegmans, 15 minutes there, 15 minutes back, and I forgot one ingredient, and I lost my mind. Okay? That there was nowhere to walk to and go grab a simple onion. And so that night I emailed a bunch of people saying who's working on this. No one was, and I decided to pick up the challenge, and that's why I'm standing in front of you here today, because I've done the market analysis, I've put together a pretty extensive business plan. I'm happy to answer questions on that. But my goal again is I want to solve that issue of, if you live downtown, it's beautiful here, you should be able to walk 5 minutes and go pick up your groceries.
What's your background?
Oh, all over the place. So right out of college, I worked in foreign exchange trading operations for a bank in Boston. Then I went over to Paris and I got my MBA. And then I got recruited out of there to go work up at Bain & Company Consulting in Oslo. So did that for 3 years, went all around the world. I think that job took me to 16 different countries, so got to see everything. Most recently, I got tired of being a slide monkey working till midnight. And so started a little AI data analytics app that didn't really take off, but allowed me to kind of do the digital nomad life for a while. And now I'm back here. So no direct grocery experience, but between consulting and kind of finance experience, I think I have the business acumen to kind of figure out the rest of the plan.
Question for you.
Yeah.
You've been all over the place.
Yeah.
You're establishing something that people will depend on.
Yes.
Are you going to be committed to it for the long haul? Because once you do it, people are going to depend on it.
And it's a good question. And actually, so the reason I chose Acre Club is I'm not thinking about just one store. I think there's plenty of other areas in the Rochester area that could work. I picked the one that, like, if it's gonna work, it's gonna be that location because it has the densest concentration of residents, also has the transit center nearby. But I chose that name because I wanted the .com domain, because I want to, maybe there's, you know, first one's over there, the next one's here in the Four Corners area, maybe there's one in Cornhill. I think, I look at the United States kind of grocery market and no one kind of dips down into that, you call it bodega style, small city grocery. I just think that it's kind of untapped. I've seen everywhere that most grocery players kind of exist in all different segments, except for here. And so I'm kind of excited to see if I can crack that.
Just to follow up.
Yeah.
That is the missing link for downtown.
Yeah.
And it's important that you know, that people can say, guess what, you're gonna be here, we're gonna depend on you.
This weekend, I just moved in on Main Street, so.
And just for a little history.
Yeah.
Civies had a grocery store.
Yeah.
In that building. Attached to it, yes. So, what you're doing is reestablishing something that was once there.
Yeah.
Sure, Miguel?
How many customers are you estimating to serve, monthly or annually?
So I have a daily count, it's around 250 to 275, with a smaller basket size. I'm coming around to that number, might be a little lower. What I look at more is kind of the overall market analysis. Within that quarter-mile radius of the store location, we have 2,500 residents. This is from data 2 years ago. And then within a half-mile walk, we have 5,500 residents. We have the 3 million annual transits through the transit center. And then we have the 50,000 workers downtown. So between all of that, we think we can get that 250 mark of daily customers.
What will be your hours of operation?
Still in flux slightly. I mean, it's going to be probably like 8 to 8 or 9 to 9, somewhere around there. No late night hours and no super early. But trying to sync up with kind of the hours of operations for the other retail operations in Sibley.
Got it. Is there a mix between prepared foods and fresh produce and dry goods?
So, like at the very start, obviously all the produce, bread, dry goods, home goods, pet, you know, just everything you see. Well, okay, I always use this analogy. You go to Wegmans, you can buy 20 different types of mayonnaise, and we'll just have one. So it's the same sort of thing, which is like everything condensed down. Prepared foods is actually not a P1 priority, just because that requires kitchen and staff and everything like that. And so I'd rather kind of get the store open, have the goods, see who the customers are, see what the demand's ultimately going to be. And then there's the commissary in Sibley Square, which we can work with to kind of develop you know, prepackaged foods for them.
Great. Kudos to you for, you know, tackling a very critical issue that the city currently has. You know, we're all going to be rooting for you, and hopefully everyone in the room will support you as well. You know, I think I certainly will. So
if you guys work in the building, I'm expecting you to step up there.
Yeah. Any more questions from the board?
I have a ton of questions, but no.
All right. All positive questions from Norm.
I just have to say to you.
Yeah.
How are you going to prepare to deal with your success? Because you are going to have a ton of customers. And so you know, being able to prepare for that massive influx of people coming in, that's going to be just as important as not having any customers at all. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying, you know, you have to make sure that you prepare for success, because that will be a very hot space for you.
Sounds like a good problem to have.
Yes.
And where are you sourcing your employees from? You know, I think we certainly have some partners at COMID that we could probably put you in contact with.
Yeah, so once all the various financing options come through, so hopefully trying to get that done in the next month or so, we'll go live with trying to find staff. But we think the city would certainly like us, and their financial support is somewhat contingent on it to get city residents.
Sure.
But we think that should be fairly simple. We have the most convenient location in the county to get through to with public transit, being right next to the transit center. So we think we're trying to, or my ideal employees would be, you know, current grocery store, Tops, Wegmans employees who may be looking for something a little bit more interesting. If you're the head of a department, you know, our smaller store offers you the chance to kind of get experience running a full store and get some broader experience. Maybe that's the next step to being a general manager somewhere.
Sure.
But combine, you know, what I think is a unique opportunity with kind of, unique access transit-wise. I don't anticipate a challenge in terms of, getting the right employees.
All right, excellent. Great answers, thank you. A public hearing was not required, so at this point, I just have a couple of, local labor questions for you.
Yep.
Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yep.
Okay. Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
Nope.
Are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yep.
Great. The secret process is complete for this, and so at this point, I'd like to entertain a motion and a second for inducement and final resolution approving a sales tax exemption.
So moved.
So moved by Norm, seconded by Brett. Okay, we'll now call the vote. Norm?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Brett?
Yay.
Ray is excused. Miguel?
Yes.
And it is a yes for me as well. Resounding approval. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
We'll need to have you back in 1 year and have you do a download on how things are going. We'll have to keep tabs on you, okay? Okay, moving on. The next project, 135 FedEx Way LLC. Anna, would you please read the project summary?
135 FedEx Way LLC, a real estate holding company, is proposing the construction of a 7,000 square foot metal building in the town of Gates. While a tenant for the building has not yet been determined, the flexible design can support businesses from a wide variety of industries. This is the second flex space facility at the site. 135 FedEx Way LLC plans to create 5 new FTEs. The $1 million project is seeking a real property tax abatement, sales tax exemption, and a partial mortgage recording tax exemption, and the cost to benefit ratio is 46:1.
Okay, great. Thank you. I believe we have a representative on Zoom, Mr. Stephen Capizzi, who's a partner.
Very good.
All right, great. You know, sometimes I mangle them, so, I'm glad I got that one right. Mr. Capizzi, please provide any comments that you have on the project, tell us about yourselves, and, afterwards, we'll open it up to the board for questions.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be remote. I know it's a convenience for me, so thank you. So this is my fourth project with COMID over the last 20 years, including the most recent project at the same location, 135 FedEx Way. I'm proud to say that all of my previous projects have been successful, fully compliant, and with no issues. We currently own and operate a community-supported building on the same site, which validates the demand for the activity that's utilized in this area. The project is a second phase expansion, 7,000 square foot commercial building, as you heard, designed to support small contractors, local small businesses, emerging local operators. It's not speculative, it's a direct response to the demand we're already seeing at this location. The property sits about 500 yards from the Amazon distribution center on Manitou Road, which has significantly increased the activity and demand for nearby service-based businesses. We've had consistent interest from electricians, plumbers, food truck operators, even a pet sitting company, with all the Amazon activity. The building is intentionally designed to be flexible. It could accommodate one single tenant, which we're really hoping for, but we divided it and made it so that it's flexible in case, the newer, smaller businesses are smaller, and they don't want to take on such a big piece. With community support, our target rent somewhere in the $17 range. Without that support, it'd be over $20, which would really make the project not work. For a small business, it translates to $20,000 to $30,000 annually for the rent, and that would be a barrier for a small emerging business. Based on the performance of our existing building on the location, we've already seen we're confident in our ability to lease the space. While the application reflects a conservative estimate of 5 jobs, the building is designed to support, as I said, a few smaller businesses if it goes that way, which could change that and increase the job utilization. This is a practical, demand-driven expansion of a model that is already working at this location. Community support allows us to deliver this project in a way that keeps it accessible, flexible, and aligns with the needs of the local business community. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Open it up to the board for questions.
more curiosity, I'm not familiar with the site. Why is it called FedEx Way? Is there a FedEx building right nearby, or?
Yes, it's a FedEx Way, the Federal Express Distribution Centers on Manitou and 531, and then the street is named after FedEx.
So they did all the infrastructure for the road that you sit on?
No, that was.
Yeah, that road's been there 25 years or so, but they're on the corner, and then there's other small businesses down, commercial, industrial businesses down the road.
Okay. The only other question is just curiosity. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask this, but I noticed on your application here, 100% bank financing on a spec building, and if, in fact, you're able to do that, congratulations.
Thanks.
Okay. Any additional questions? Okay. There was a public hearing that was held on April 15th, I believe. Robin, were there any comments?
No comments.
Okay, great. At this time, Stephen, I have a couple of labor questions for you. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes, I am.
Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
No, we do not.
Okay. And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes, we're aware of that.
Okay, great. The secret process is complete for this, and so at this time I will entertain a motion and a second for inducement and final resolution approving a real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax exemption, and the sales tax exemption. So moved by Rhett, seconded by Lisa. I'll call the vote. Norm?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Rhett?
Yay.
Miguel?
Yes.
It's a yes for me. The motion carries. Congratulations.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, the next project, Phillips Real Estate LLC. Anna, would you please read the project summary?
Phillips Real Estate LLC is proposing the build-out of 465 West Commercial Street in East Rochester for its tenant, Kink Incorporated, a related entity. Kink Incorporated, a motocross manufacturer, is moving into this new location to grow and modernize its facility and plans to create one new FTE in addition to its existing 9 FTEs. This is a $1.7 million project seeking a sales tax exemption and partial mortgage reporting tax exemption, and the cost-to-benefit ratio is 13:1.
Great. We have Mr. Zach Phillips, owner. Zach, welcome.
Hi, thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot. If you have any comments, please provide them, and then we'll open it up to the board for any questions.
All right, yeah. So I started Kink BMX when I was 16 years old, actually living right here in Cornhill. So that was 33 years ago. Since then, we sell to 2,500 bike shops around the United States. We have distribution in 30 different countries. 19 years ago, I purchased the building we are currently at on Greenleaf Street, and that is for sale, and we're closing in about 6 weeks on the sale, and then I'm buying this building in East Rochester. So with your help, it'll help me complete the build out and make us more efficient and make my employees more happy. So yeah, then hope I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Tell me you have no windows.
Oh yeah, so that's been, yeah, the current building I'm in is really safe. It has no windows though. So and that's been a topic of conversation around the office for 19 years. So this new building does have windows. The warehouse will have windows. Everybody will have windows.
So you basically outgrew Greenleaf?
Yeah, it's actually, well, right now we occupy about 50,000 square feet. This will be about a little bit less that we will occupy, but we can be more efficient, so, yeah.
I'm glad to share too that Zach is on the Monroe County Industrial Development Corporation board, your sister board, and so we're delighted to have make this connection.
Yeah, we get to support you. So, for everyone who doesn't know, so I'm familiar with motocross, but what specifically is motocross manufacturing?
Yeah, so BMX bikes are kind of what you see in like a Mountain Dew commercial or the X Games or even the Olympics now. So I started it before there was X Games and before it was in the Olympics. But I was just breaking BMX bike parts every night, riding my bike, and I just knew it could be done better. So I started using a local machine shop, also in Cornhill, and designing better products and using better materials. That's how it all started.
Awesome. Have you broken any bones?
I'm sorry?
Have you broken any bones?
No.
No?
Some concussions, unfortunately.
Concussions, okay, all right.
But I was wearing my helmet, so that's good.
All right, excellent. Any more questions from the board? Okay. There are none. There was a public hearing that was held on the 15th. Robin, do we have any questions or public comments?
No comments.
Okay, there are none. I have a couple of local labor questions for you. Are you aware of our local labor policy? Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time? And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance? Great. The secret process for this project has been completed. This time I'll entertain a motion and a second for inducement. The final resolution approving a mortgage recording tax exemption and sales tax exemption. Moved by Red.
Second.
Seconded by Norm. I'll call the vote. Norm?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Rhett?
Yay.
Miguel?
Yes.
That's a yes from me as well. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for your work at IMC, the Odyssey. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and the last project that we have for consideration is Paylocity Corporation. Anna, would you please read the project summary?
Certainly. Paylocity Corporation, a national payroll and human capital management services company, is proposing the renovation of a 55,000 square foot office space in the town of Pittsford. Renovations include design for additional workstations, equipment, and employee amenities. The proposed project will allow Paylocity to continue to grow their software implementation and account services departments in Monroe County. The Paylocity Corporation plans to create 229 new FTEs in addition to their existing 171 FTEs in Monroe County. The $7 million project is seeking a sales tax exemption only, and the cost to benefit ratio is 365 to 1. The building landlord, DEL 3750 Monroe Ave Association, is also seeking sales tax exemptions for certain building improvements associated with the project.
Great, thank you. We have a representative, a Mr. Is it a Mr.? Okay, Aaron Zinzer, Director of Real Estate. Would you please join us?
And can I introduce Sean Miller, our Vice President
You sure can.
of Operations?
Absolutely. Please join us.
So thanks for having us. Aaron Zinzer, Director of Real Estate for Paylocity Corporation. This is our third endeavor into this space. Very excited to be in Pittsford. Location we selected was with intention of continuing to grow in the market. We put our foot in the water over 15 months ago, and we've had 2 expansions so far. And based off of Sean's leadership, we're continuing to grow in the market, and this is our next phase of the project. Selected the building because of the opportunities and the vacancy. Building needs a little bit of work. That's why there's significant investments happening, exterior, interior, bringing up the building. There's high vacancy in the building, but a great opportunity for Paylocity to continue to come. We call it a crawl, walk, run approach. And so now the 55,000, we call it the run approach. We're going to get bigger and continue our hiring in the market based off of the great success so far.
That's great.
Sean, maybe you want to speak to the part?
Yeah, I mean, I think just to kind of give everyone a little bit of quick history, a lot of people may not know Paylocity, right? We've been here for almost 8 years. We had a small satellite office over on Russell Street. It was really just a touchdown station. I joined the company over 4 years ago. We had about 75 employees. It was not full-time. Back in May, we went and turned to office for a good portion of our employment across the country. With that, we started to expand. We did the first expansion. We added 120 seats, and then that was filled before we even finished the build up. Like, I didn't have seats left. Immediately accelerated the next phase, which was another 100 seats. That was filled before we finished in September. So we got 220 seats that are all filled already, and we've done it in less than 12 months. So we obviously, as a company, continue to grow, and now this has now become one of our strategic locations across the U.S.
It's incredible. I'm very familiar with that building as well. So, kudos to you all for, reactivating that space. I think it's a great location, and I'm sure you do extremely well there. Yeah.
Yeah, so what I really like about this is that the 229 FTEs that you're anticipating, obviously they're going to need housing if they're coming into the area new. There's a beautiful new apartment complex being built across the street, very walkable. You can walk to the village, you can walk to Pittsford Plaza. There's also nice small homes across the street back along the canal.
Yeah.
So it's a really, interesting way to, and there's a bus line right on the road.
Right in front.
So it's a really, this whole concept of a walkable community, it really works. So thank you for doing this, it's gonna be very, very nice.
What will be your total footprint in this building after the 15?
90,000 square feet.
90,000 square feet.
90,000 after this is done.
Right.
So, I have to ask the question. With all the buzz about AI reducing the workforce, where do you see AI impacting what your deliverables are in your need for the workforce?
It's a great question, and it is why the HCM industry right now is down, and it's because of that question. But our view on AI, as it becomes, people see it as a reduction of workforce, we actually don't. We actually see it as a supplement to our workforce, and I'll give you a great example. We have an account manager who's taking care of a client, right? That client has a question that account manager may not know the answer to. We use AI as a person sitting next to them, serving up that information to them faster than we could today. So we don't see it as a way that we're going to reduce workforce, we actually see it as a way to supplement. And if you think about the complexity of the payroll industry, it is going to be almost impossible to replace the complexities within payroll with AI. It's just not possible. No, everyone's thinking about how you can do that, you can't. California has their own laws, New York has their own laws. It's too hard to train it. So yes, we're going to use AI, and it's going to have an impact on our industry, but we don't see it as an impact to our workforce. We see it as a way to enhance our workforce and actually improve the client experience versus reducing headcount.
So you see AI as a way of augmenting your deliverables and your systems that are in place?
It's funny, we actually just had an executive meeting about a month ago, and we actually talked about it with our board members as it's a person, it's a persona sitting next to them to augment what they do.
Thank you.
What is the composition of the workforce you're intending there? Is it sales? Is it account management? Is it technology?
So a little bit of everything. So today, in our current workforce, right, we have mostly frontline account managers that support payroll, benefits, and then implementation of our clients, right? With the expansion, we will add sales. We will add some back office, like HR components that we don't have locally today. And then the other thing is to support two launches that have just happened of new products, so we'll have to support those products as well. So a mix of a little bit of everything. There'll be some IT support, things like that, facility support, but mostly going to be implementation, service, new products, and then a larger sales force. We don't have a sales force here today. We plan to add up to around 50 people from a sales perspective in that location.
And then what geography will this group, is it just devoted to New York State or more broadly?
East Coast.
East Coast,
So the geography, we have another location in Lake Mary, just outside of Orlando, because we have a larger concentration of clients on the East Coast. So we're segmented East, Central, and West. So this will be an augment to our clients on the East Coast.
One last question.
Yes.
Who's your competition?
You mean another company that starts with a P? So honestly, I get asked that question a lot of well, what do you think about it? I actually see this as a win for both companies, and this isn't just like marketing material. The HCM industry, right? There is a need with two competitors in the same place, we actually draw more people with HCM experience. So I do think it actually is a win for both. Look, am I gonna take people from them? Yeah. Well, guess what? They just took two of my people last week. So it's a back and forth, but in my mind, I think it's a win. We just have a program now, working with all the local colleges. We have an internship program that's starting with 20 interns starting in June, right? So to me, it's a win-win. At the end of the day, and we're also in two different markets, honestly. Their average size client is 11, ours is 120. So yes, we're in the same industry, but we don't necessarily compete with each other that often. Now from a talent perspective, you'll see a little bit of that, but I think that's a win to attract more people just to the area with that experience.
Thank you.
And if you have any hurricane issues in Florida, it's gonna remind people to come this way.
Oh, we do it all the time. But then when I have a snowstorm, they remind me that it's 85 degrees. So it's back and forth.
Awesome. By the way, I love your answer to the competition question. You know, oftentimes people think that the pie is finite, but you know, the concept that you're talking about, you know, I think the technical term is economies of agglomeration. And so when people pull together, it actually has the potential to expand the pie. And so to the extent that you have that perspective when it comes to business, you know, I think that, you know, you're much better off. So I certainly appreciate you having that perspective and wanting to concentrate here in Rochester and bringing these additional employees to the county as well. So thank you for that. There was a public hearing on the 15th. Robin, were there any comments?
No comments.
Okay. If there are no comments, I have just a couple of questions for you. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes.
Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
Not the same.
Okay. And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes.
Okay, the secret process for this project has been complete. At this point, I'll entertain a motion and a second for inducement of final resolution approving the sales tax exemption.
So moved.
So moved by Norm, seconded by, we'll give it to Miguel this time. You know, there you go. All right. I'll call the vote. Norm?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Rhett?
Yay.
Miguel?
Yes.
And it's a yes from me as well. Congratulations, the motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you for expanding in Rochester.
Absolutely. That concludes the projects. Now we'll move on to item J on the agenda, which is the executive director discussion items. Anna, turn it over to you.
I'll try to keep it brief
Sure.
because it's 12:57, but I wanted to draw your attention to this lovely handout that Allison disseminated at the top of the meeting. This is an overview of the impact that COMID has made in Monroe County since 2022 through our Workforce Development Fund. You'll recall that we set up the Workforce Development Fund as part of COMID's modernization efforts in 2022 at the direction of County Executive Bello. We became one of, I'm not sure if we're the only IDA in the state that does this, but I think we're one in a limited cohort that that takes project fee revenues and actually invests them back into the area workforce to meet job training demands. So since 2022, we have invested over $8 million in the workforce. We have touched at a minimum 1,000 workers in our area in critical sectors, advanced manufacturing, information technology, healthcare. We're working with 15 different organizations. On Friday, just an anecdote, this past Friday, I was really pleased to attend the CNA graduation ceremony at MCC's downtown campus, funded by COMIDA through our Workforce Fund, and over 20 young adults, men and women from the Rochester community had full tuition paid for through our program at MCC, and are gaining employment at Rochester Regional Health, a Friendly Home, working in skilled nursing care facilities, and it was a really moving ceremony, and it was just one small glimpse of the actual human impact that we are having as an industrial development agency on people's lives, just by virtue of moving some of our fee income into workforce development training programs. This overview is not publicly accessible yet, but we hope to have it up on our updated website as we work to update it, and we'll certainly disseminate it electronically. And you're seeing it before the county executive also, so I'll be sharing it with the county executive and his team, and hoping to spread the good word. This also is a good segue into the dashboard for COMIDA that I go over every month. Before I do that, are there any questions or comments about this overview?
I could use about 50 of these.
You got it.
To my colleagues and the offices, if they're available, I'd love to, because they've been waiting.
Yeah, of course.
With bated breath for this.
And thank you, Legislator Mafucci. It was at your behest that we started to kind of kick this idea around, that it might be necessary for us to articulate our message in a creative way and make sure that, you know, we're telling our story, we're not letting others in the community tell our story. So thank you, and yeah, we're excited to share this and answer questions too about any of these items. Are there other comments or questions?
I feel like you should give me a round of applause. This is
Oh,
great.
to all of you, thank you. Thank you. So please take it home, some light reading, and it'll help you feel a sense of pride for the work that you're doing. We're not only impacting and helping business owners, we're helping the workforce and working families every day in Monroe County. So related to our dashboard, I wanted to point out we are, in terms of the number of pilot agreements approved thus far this year to date, we're at 5, whereas the prior year end was 9. So we're somewhat outpacing last year's cadence in terms of project activity, and in terms of total company investment reflected by COMID's portfolio this year, $122.8 million and some change. That's 63.5% of last year's year-end total company investments from our portfolio. So I think it's reflective of, you know, the housing momentum that we've been seeing as a result of our policy pivot, and it's hopefully a sign of good things to come. And we're also on pace. We're a little bit ahead of a schedule on our job creation. So total new jobs projected and required and retained and in the projects is a little over a quarter of what it was this time last year, and we're a quarter of a way through the year. So, and to Chair Tolfree's point earlier about strategic financial planning and foresight, I'm pleased to share that staff will be putting our heads together very soon with Greg and his team to look at a 5-year time horizon, projecting based on project activity, based on our workforce development investments, this portfolio, based on the data that we have, what can we expect to see in the next 5 years, and how should we strategically plan for that such that we can continue to invest in good programs, and we can continue to support and employ our staff and maintain operations at a healthy clip. This is an uncertain moment in the economy for many reasons, as was pointed out earlier by our financial professionals, and COMID exists. We have very powerful tools and resources to support and stabilize the local economy and try to make Monroe County more competitive. We want to use those powers for good, as I've pointed out before, and improve outcomes for the long haul. So we'll be reporting back to the board on that work, and right now it's an ad hoc kind of in-house exercise, and then to the extent that we want to do something more sophisticated and more robust, we'll be reporting back to all of you about that as well. We've got some sharp financial minds around the table here too.
So on that topic, just the one point I like to make is, how do you measure the programs not being here?
The missed opportunities?
Yes, how do you measure not having this? And then what is the pay, how do we measure the payback on what's been provided? I mean, and there's gotta be some type of some type of point, way of saying, this is the cost of doing this is what we derive from it. And I don't know if we got there yet.
It's hard to measure. I would imagine that, at least half of the individuals that I witnessed graduate from the CNA program last week probably wouldn't have had that opportunity. Perhaps there are several other programs in here that are not funded by foundations because they're harder to fund, and charitable dollars are getting tighter, harder to come by, as you all have read about.
So if you can give it some thought, I mean, when you have your internal exercises, give us some thought on how do you measure not having it, and how do you measure the success? And is there a figure that you can put to it? Is it they're not going to be on public assistance? Are they're not going to be incarcerated? They're not. is there something there that we can, you know, wrap our arms around and say, this is an impact? And how do we measure that? And it's, you know, certain things you can measure cost avoidance when you deal with refuse or trash, or you can deal with cost avoidance on utilities by going green. But how do you measure the human factor here?
Right.
So that's the one thing that we have to keep in the forefront.
Absolutely, lifting people out of poverty.
Yeah,
That's a great point.
That's all that I have. And thank you, all of you, for your.
Just one comment, you said 5 years, and I'm not sure that we can, I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time on 5 years. I might front load it.
Okay.
Given the environment to this next year and out to 3 years. It seemed like in my experience in business, whenever we went out 5 years, it was just kind of extrapolating numbers out, and we couldn't possibly
Making
foresee
stuff
what would
up.
happen, yeah.
Okay.
So that,
Thank you, point
keep
well
your
taken.
focus a little closer would be my recommendation.
Good point.
And county, and I know Legislator Mafucci is aware of this, that county government is having some really challenging conversations about the coming year and budgetary expectations, just based on tax collection and larger economic dynamics that are at play that are impacting county operations and tax collections. So all of those dynamics impact COMID in a different way. And so yeah, point well taken. We'll certainly focus on the near term and also with an eye towards the longer term, because we would like to be around for another 50 years.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a good point. You know, I think ultimately the goal is just to make sure that we're on a sustainable path.
Yeah.
So, you know, next 12, 24, 36, 60 months, we just want to make sure that the work that COMID is doing is sustainable and that it can be supported for the long term. And so, it's kudos to you and the team for starting the work. I think that it needs to be done, and partnering with Greg and the team at Bonadio is going to give us the data that we need to do further strategic planning. So, great job. Any more questions from the board? Okay, there are none. We'll move on. Chair discussion items, item K. Already said what I have to say, and so we'll skip that one. Anyone else? Any questions? No? All right. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Brett, second.